The segment discusses the legal troubles surrounding music mogul Sean Diddy Combs. As he prepares for a third attempt to secure bail in his federal criminal case, 5 new lawsuits have been filed against him by attorney Tony Busby, alleging shocking misconduct. These lawsuits involve accusations of abuse, including physical, sexual, and emotional harm, from both male and female victims, some of whom were minors at the time of the alleged incidents. The narrative delves into newly filed lawsuits against Sean Diddy Combs, exposing further disturbing allegations. These cases follow a consistent theme, echoing prior accusations that Combs and his associates allegedly drugged victims with substances like GHB or ecstasy, coerced them into sexual acts, and perpetuated abuse. Many lawsuits were filed anonymously, targeting both Combs and his companies, such as Bad Boy Entertainment. While Combs denies any wrongdoing, claiming that all interactions were consensual, the allegations paint a harrowing picture. Among the new lawsuits, one by a Texas-based John Doe details an encounter in 2001 where he claims to have been manipulated and drugged during an audition-related meeting in New York. The lawsuit alleges that Combs assessed his isolation, offering drinks laced with substances before an assault occurred. This fits the broader pattern of accusations linking Combs to a systemic abuse of power and influence to exploit victims. The lawsuit filed by John Doe presents harrowing and graphic allegations against Sean Diddy Combs. The plaintiff claims that during a meeting in New York for a music video role, his drink was allegedly laced with drugs such as GHB or ecstasy. He reports feeling dizzy and nauseous before passing out, only to awaken in a twilight state, in a compromising and disoriented position. John Doe alleges that he was sexually assaulted by Combs, recognizing him by distinctive tattoos and jewelry, while being restrained by a bodyguard. The complaint further claims that multiple individuals participated in the assault, with onlookers laughing and potentially documenting the event with camera flashes. The plaintiff describes the trauma of regaining partial control, covering himself, and fleeing the scene in a state of shock and violation. These allegations, which align with broader accusations of systemic abuse and coercion in Combs' orbit, are part of an increasing number of lawsuits portraying a disturbing pattern of behavior. Combs continues to deny all wrongdoing, and legal proceedings will determine the outcome of these claims. However, the details highlight the gravity of the accusations and the challenges of addressing such deeply sensitive cases. The lawsuit details continue to outline disturbing and serious allegations. In addition to the claims by John Doe, a separate lawsuit filed by a Jane Doe from Maryland alleges sexual assault during a 2001 Halloween party in Manhattan. According to her complaint, Jane Doe, 18 at the time, attended the party with her cousin. Combs and his entourage also attended, providing drinks to partygoers. Later, Jane Doe and her friends were allegedly escorted to a limousine by Combs' security team. Inside, she encountered Combs and his security guards. After consuming a drink handed to her, Jane Doe experienced dizziness, disorientation, and an inability to control her actions, which she believes was due to her drink being laced with drugs such as GHB or ecstasy. Jane Doe claims that Combs ordered her to perform non-consensual sexual acts, first on a security guard and then on himself. She describes severe emotional distress following the incident, including symptoms consistent with post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, depression, and a lasting impact on her mental health. Both cases are being pursued under the New York Victims of Gender-Motivated Violence Protection Act, which allows survivors to seek damages and attorney fees for gender-based violence. The Act's look-back window, which temporarily lifts the statute of limitations for older claims, permits these lawsuits to proceed until February 2025. This provision aims to provide justice for individuals whose cases might otherwise have been time-barred. These lawsuits contribute to a mounting series of allegations against Combs, all of which he denies, maintaining that any interactions were consensual. The claims, however, add to a pattern of accusations portraying systemic abuse of power and influence within his circle. Legal proceedings will ultimately determine the validity of these allegations. The allegations described in the latest lawsuits against Sean Diddy Combs reveal a troubling pattern of behavior, as detailed by multiple plaintiffs under the New York Victims of Gender-Motivated Violence Protection Act, GMVA. Case 3. Jane Doe, 2004 incident. In this case, a 17-year-old aspiring model alleges she was invited to one of Combs' renowned 4th of July parties in the Hamptons. Upon arriving, attendees were required to surrender their phones and personal belongings, with some reportedly signing NDAs. According to her lawsuit, she consumed a drink at the party and quickly became disoriented, suspecting it was drugged. After losing consciousness, she awoke alone, missing her underwear and experiencing physical pain in her private areas. Combs and 2 bodyguards allegedly approached her, threatened her, and warned her not to speak of the incident, stating that he ran New York and could ruin her life. She claims she was coerced into silence in exchange for the return of her phone and belongings, out of fear for her safety. In the aftermath, she suffered from PTSD, depression, and anxiety. Case 4. John Doe, 2022 incident. In this newer case, a plaintiff residing in Georgia alleges that an incident occurred in 2022 when he was 39 years old. While details for this case are less specific in your provided excerpt, the claim further adds to the allegations of abuse and misconduct spanning decades. Legal context and significance. Each of these lawsuits is being filed under the GMVA, leveraging a special look-back window created by New York's Adult Survivors Act. This provision allows survivors to pursue civil action for historic gender-based violence cases even if the original statute of limitations has expired. The window remains open until February 2025. Pattern of allegations. The commonalities across these cases are striking. Drugging allegations. Victims frequently report feeling disoriented after consuming drinks, suspecting they were laced with drugs like GHB or ecstasy. Sexual violence. The lawsuits detail non-consensual sexual acts allegedly involving Combs and, in some cases, his associates or bodyguards. Threats and coercion. Victims describe being silenced through threats of retaliation, warnings about Combs' power, or promises of returned belongings. Emotional impact. Plaintiffs consistently report lasting trauma, including PTSD, depression, and anxiety, stemming from their experiences. Combs' response. Combs has denied all allegations, asserting that any sexual interactions were consensual. His legal team has emphasized that he has not been found liable or guilty in court for these allegations. The mounting number of claims against Combs brings renewed focus to the culture of accountability in the entertainment industry, with survivors stepping forward to share their stories through the protections afforded by evolving legal frameworks. At the party, an associate of Sean Combs approached the plaintiff, telling him that Combs wanted to meet. The plaintiff was escorted upstairs, where Combs greeted him with a drink and offered a tour of the house. They walked through the house, and the tour ended in a bedroom that smelled strongly of marijuana. Along with Combs, there were 5 other people in the room, 3 men and 2 women. When they entered, Combs instructed the women to perform sexual dances for the men. Around this time, the plaintiff suddenly began feeling weak and disoriented, a sensation unlike anything he'd ever experienced from alcohol before. As his condition worsened, he started to lose consciousness and realized he had likely been drugged. The plaintiff later passed out, and when he regained consciousness, he found himself naked with Combs sexually assaulting him. Combs allegedly smiled disturbingly while continuing the assault. The plaintiff passed out again and woke up alone in the bedroom the next morning. Almost immediately, a member of Combs' security team entered, handed him his clothes, and told him to get dressed and leave. The plaintiff is suing under Florida law for assault and sexual assault, claiming that Combs and his associates intentionally caused the physical contact that he considered offensive. The lawsuit also targets Combs' businesses, which may have deeper financial resources. This lawsuit is particularly important because it was filed recently, avoiding potential issues with statutes of limitations and because the assault claims seem more straightforward to prove. Meanwhile, attorney Tony Busby, who has represented some of the plaintiffs in these cases, has come under scrutiny. An anonymous individual has filed a lawsuit claiming that Busby has been extorting high-profile people. The lawsuit alleges that Busby fabricates serious crime allegations, such as sexual assault, and demands money from these individuals, threatening to expose them publicly if they do not comply. This anonymous person claims that Busby uses the money from these threats to fund his luxurious lifestyle. Busby has denied the accusations, stating that the lawsuit is a tactic to stop him from doing his job. He claims the allegations against him are without merit, and he will not allow powerful individuals and their lawyers to intimidate or silence sexual assault survivors.